Oh my god, I can't believe it. Guys, it's innovative. It's so different. I've never seen it before. Core on the HRE. Sorry, Core. That's right, we are back for some more high-quality Age of Empires 4. We've got Core going up against Benny Boy, Dumu himself from Team Liquid on his Lord Voldemort account, playing as the Zhu Xi to face off against the HRE. Now, I'm wondering, like, when Ben got into this game, when he saw that he was up against Core, did he immediately know, okay, it's going to be HRE, and just go for the click? Because this matchup, it's pretty decent for the HRE, right? Like, in theory, at least. We just don't see, I feel like, enough of either of these civs right now to get a full picture. But, you know, on the most recent patch, anyway, HRE it's a 44% win rate versus this civ, but that's over 9 games. If you go to the previous patch, where Zhu Xi was stronger, then you get a little bit better of a picture. Zhu Xi's at 57.4%. So I'd say after the nerfs to Zhu Xi, I could see this being more of a kind of 50-50, maybe even edging slightly towards the Holy Roman Empire. All I do know for sure is, you know, given the players and given the civ choices, I wouldn't be surprised if we find ourselves deep in the late game here. There is an opportunity to end quite fast, though, for both players. For Dumu, it's going to be in the Feudal Age with the Zhu Xi spam of Chuganu, and on the other side for the HRE, it's going to be that fast castle burger, something that Core can get into, because you may be noticing he went for the double scout. Double scout is pretty bloody effective here, and looks like actually rotation-wise he did get screwed over a bit, basically going mostly in Dumu's shadow. So even with that double scout in mind, Dumu has more sheep. This is brutal, and this is also a big reason why the double scout opening for HRE can be a little bit more like cumbersome here. Well, I say cumbersome here. It shouldn't be cumbersome here. I was going to say in Chinese matchups, right? Because they have the extra vision. Remember, the Zhu Xi don't have that. This was just Dumu out rotating. It's kind of unfortunate for Core. Core can at least get more of the remaining of the map, so he should be able to catch up. But for a guy who went two scouts to only even the amount of sheep that the one scout player got is not a good sign, especially when you're playing HRE, where each of those villages is more like a 1.4 villager, courtesy of the Arcan Chapel. Median on the way. Yeah, pretty safe one. Wait, wasn't the... it's always tough to tell, but I think he could have got double food and some wood still. So a little bit surprising there from Dim. I guess he just didn't want to walk out. Oh, guys, it's actually worse. Wait, did he not see this? I don't know if it's showing on the map as an icon. Like, it's very much on the edge of his vision. He should have been able to, though. Unfortunate, because that was a golden opportunity. You don't get many opportunities like that now with the meditation guard since the nerfs on the range, but it definitely was there. It might be that Dumu just wants to go for 2 TC, though, and in which case this makes a lot more sense, right? Like, securing the wood just kind of escalates you towards that timer more efficiently. But for now, with no move across under stone, it's hard to tell. Well, it's not hard to tell. It's pretty obvious, right? Like, the way that you play this civ, you want to gather one resource at a time because of the Imperial Official, so you get the 20% extra. It's not like when you play French or when you play, you know, HRE with 2 TC or whatever, where you just split between the 2 resources. But instead, it's not going to be that. Okay, it's actually going to be aggro, and this is kind of wild. He's going double racks as Zhu Xi in Feudal Age. Are we about to see some Palace Guard? Because that would be wild, right? Like, there's no way we get Palace Guard. No, we are. We're getting them going. He's still going on the stone. That is being scouted out. Core does just about glimpse the racks, but he only sees one. He might expect this just to be Spearman, right? Like, it makes sense, right? If you're going fast Castle Age as HRE, Spearman, well, you'd expect to see that out of the Zhu Xi because you know there's going to be a Nightfall up from the HRE 9 out of 10 games. So I wonder if he even knows the Palace Guard are coming. Okay, second scout does actually see it, so he has the information now. For Core, surely this could still be a Burgrave play now. He's got, what, 12 sheep remaining, and he's basically got the food required. So that would be a decent pump of men-at-arms coming out. With marching drills, you would at least be able to kind of gap close on these men-at-arms, these Palace Guard rather. But they would still prove to be a pain in the ass, right? The extra movement speed means they can kind of disengage. Instead, they're going to be engaging. Dive comes in. Dumu. I can't believe he's doing this. Palace Guard, the only way I've seen this look good is with Pro Scouts play, but I kind of dig it here. The reason is that what you have to realize is that on this map, Cliffside, it puts you so close to your opponent's base that it allows you to just kind of flood the field. Right? It goes the same way the other way, where an HRE player could realistically go Burgrave here and hit his enemy's base and insanely early timing. Don't know if that's what we're going to get now, though. I feel like you don't want to have to now that your opponent's gone Palace Guard, but if he's got enough food to keep ramping this, you don't have much of a choice in the matter, right? And no, he doesn't. There we go. Burgrave coming on the backside. So this is more of a necessity now than a desirable play, because he needs to flood troops to defend. This number of Palace Guard is escalating quite quickly, right? You can see Dumu is not slowing down on it whatsoever. One annoying thing for Dumu in this particular matchup, I like the idea of the Zhu Xi of what he's doing. I don't know if I like it in this matchup. And the reason is the E-repairs stop you from denying the gold indefinitely. Dive in again, but I mean, this is the problem, right? As soon as you start diving like this, outpost gets garrisoned, all of a sudden you're throwing away 125 resources, easy peasy. And the funny thing is, this play for Core, like, I imagine Dumu has to expect Burgrave here, right? And if he does, would you think that he's worried? Because what's happening right now is occasionally gold is getting dropped off, and the men-at-arms spam doesn't require much, but I think the thing that's giving Dumu a little bit of inspiration here, a little bit of confidence, is the fact that once this Burgrave's complete, Core still has to afford the upgrade to the Castle Age men-at-arms. He then also needs to think about going in for, you know, blacksmiths to get marching drills to really be impactful. So these idle outs on the gold are somewhat effective. The question is, what is Dumu doing behind it? Because this is a heavy investment. 125 resources each at this stage in the game. And you don't even really get extra much here, right? You've got the 36 food, you've got no extra excess gold coming in. Imperial official count is like, what, 2? And I think not going any higher. Sorry, he went for a third over here. So, like, overall, this is a play that is going to have some traction for, I would say, 4 or 5 minutes. But for Dumu, his goal is basically to kind of just deny the map. He's trying to starve Core out. Because a Burgrave play is only good as long as you've got resources to fuel it, right? I think that's the logic here. Is that Core right now, he's got that glorious 4x4, fully armored up in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. It's only effective if you've got fuel to drive through the zombie horde though, right? And that's exactly what Dumu is trying to prevent. The problem is it's looking like it's already failed here, right? 12 Palace Guard versus 8 of these men-at-arms. If he spots this little pocket eco out, that could be big. But Dumu isn't rotating for that detail, is he? No, instead he's checking the back goal because he was paranoid that Core was getting resources elsewhere. Now Core happily goes on the counter-offensive. Raider's going to come around the backside, but... You should be able to find some kills surely here, right? Like, there's no textiles, there's no wheelbarrows, so Palace Guard are going to be able to chop a few down. Diving the TC in the outpost does cost you quite a lot of health here, though. A lot of vital eco, but the men-at-arms are going in on the other side. Weird wrap here by Core. Looks like he wants to hide his intent until he arrives on the gold, so it seems Core's mentality is, I want to try and deny you ever teching up now. Because if you do tech up, that's going to be a lot of Palace Guard. The damage impact is going to be notably higher. And you're in a game right now as Core where you can't actually afford heavy maces because of the idle time. Around the back. Dumu. He starts shifting away. We'll go for the garrison. Imperial official is not moving off though, so that's going to be expensive loss there. Remember, this is feudal versus Castle Age, so the men-at-arms should actually reign supreme, but the hand cannon slits are doing God's work here for Dumu. I don't think this is enough for Core. There's just enough Palace Guard to hold this, and this is an expensive hit for Core, considering that he's given up the Regnates to achieve this. Other side, PG still raiding. Warlord's going to come out. Oh my god, that's going to be tight. Credit to him, Dumu. That +1 melee damage really feeling like the difference maker there. Sometimes that just gets really kind of clowny and clunky when you have to flood around troops like that, so that could have ended up being uncomfortably close. I love how Core, every time we watch him do this Burgrave rush, I've just realized every time we've watched it recently, it's been against Dumu, and every time Dumu's response is to outpost spam. Right? Do you guys remember that Byzantine game we had? Where he went 2TC, full outpost condensed, and just garrisoned everyone? It's kind of a similar thing here, only this matchup is harder for the HRE. You know, the Byzantines in that matchup don't have a unit to easily trade on the other side with. You do with the Palace Guard here. And on the flip side, the other element is that the hand cannon slits are so powerful. Like, I actually am kind of surprised to this day that hand cannon slits haven't been adjusted, I want to say. If you think about the maths involved, the DPS is quite comparative to a Springald. Which is bonkers to say out loud. Like, it's just such a better version of a tier 1 defense upgrade than arrow slits by comparison. Shalom Monastery now on the way, though. Dumu is trying to turn this into a relic race. Also, not a bad tool to fight with, right? Like, men-at-arms, they're not going to get any bonus damage against you there. You're not a heavy unit. The Shaolin Monks pack quite the punch. Speaking of the heavy walt coming in, that heavy upgrade actually starting to hurt a little. So Dumu's goal now should be to realistically kind of dodge his opponent. He needs to find Eco. He needs to hemorrhage Eco away from Core. Core, in the meantime, is going to have that classic spam men-at-arms experience where you chase after someone for half an hour, screaming, come back here. This is starting to get annoying. Like, all this chip damage is adding up, right? Like, remember, Core, he's got a bunch of injured villagers over time as these Pass Guard keep raiding in. Dumu, not interested in playing Pass Guard much longer. Makes sense here, right? It's going to be the crossbow transition coming. Pass Guard can at least go over here to defend. Has got that hand cannon slit in placement, but that's not going to be very effective here. That, however, is impactful. I love that. Dumu, sick little move there. He just pulled the men-at-arms away from the eco towards the crossbows as well. And now as you start a step away, you're basically playing these men-at-arms into reinforcing crossbows, right? It's a really big losing fight there. So cool little element from Dumu. Also buys him additional time on the food source, which I believe, yeah, dude, he's going to deplete it before he has to retreat it. That's perfect. Well played. So yeah, now you just try to shift away. You've got enough Pass Guard left over to body block this if need be. Villagers, of course, with the wheelbarrow can easily just step away from this. Yeah, Core only now getting marching drills feels pretty problematic, right? Like, this is usually the issue we see in a lot of these Burgrave spams, is the timing on getting access to that critical tech. Imagine how much more impactful this timing could have been with the marching drills, right? But he felt pressured. You know, he didn't have clean access to his gold. 125 gold is a lot. You're basically sacrificing 6 extra men-at-arms to get marching drills, is the way to think about it, from a gold cost perspective anyway. Well, now that it's not there, you're just seeing how easy it is, how trivial it is to just cut him down. Meantime, elsewhere on the map, Core is at least gathering additional relics, so he's got 2 more coming home. And Core's typical play with this build, with the Burgrave spam, afterwards, is if he can't achieve a win, he looks for a recovery arc in Imperial with the Palace of Swabia. And judging by the way his eco is floating, I think that's exactly where we're heading. So it needs to make these last few men-at-arms last, at least waste a bit of time for Dumu. Dumu actually looking like he might be lucky if he gets 1 relic at this base. He's being blocked out everywhere. Really well played, actually. I'm impressed Core getting this many relics off the map. I thought the Palace Guard would split up to guard these, but it looks like Dumu was forced to prioritize defense fully. Men-at-arms on the back are at least going to find a few more clobberings, but this is just kind of artificial damage. What really matters, the big difference that's going to come in, is this tech up choice. Dumu is going to need to find some sort of scale mechanism himself, whether that's going into a second TC with Song, or even maybe free TC here. It's cool. He's going to be ready to pull that trigger in about 30 seconds. How's the food looking as well? That's the one thing that worries me for Core with this play, is he has practically got no food. In fact, he's desperately gathering on berries just to get this tech up. He's going to have an awkward and uncomfortable 5 or 6 minutes ahead of him here, because realistically, there's a window where Dumu could just punish you entirely for this. Now, outposts are at least going to get upgraded with Springles, but that's also no cannon emplacement. So if Dumu did want to go for a kind of all-in timing here, Core realistically has nothing to defend himself with. Passes Swabia now on the way. Let's commit to the choice. Now, here's the thing. Like, some people can look at this and go, why is Core going imp, man? That's such a throwaway. He could have built 15 more men-at-arms for his Burgrave timing. I actually would disagree with that idea. I prefer what Core has done here. His game is kind of muddled now, right? Like, he got the relics, which is great, but the Burgrave timing didn't kill his opponent. His opponent has mass crossbows. If you don't go for Palace of Swabia now, you're never getting it, right? And the alternative is to put all that investment into wood gathering instead and build farms, but that leaves you stuck in Castle Age, building men-at-arms into mass crossbows. It's just not a desirable fight. By the time you scale to a point where you can afford horsemen, the game's going to be over already. So I 100% agree with Core's choice here. Dumu, meanwhile, doesn't seem like he's maybe fully aware. That's the other thing, right? Like, if Dumu knew 100% when the build-up stopped and when it was going to be past the Swab immediately, he could have reacted. I think he was aware about 20, 25 seconds ago when he didn't see a second wave of men-at-arms coming in after this one. But at that stage, it's too late to make a move, especially considering you got baited into going mass crossbows. I say baited, it was the correct approach. But it just means that you don't have an ability to dive a base, right? So, pretty smart plays by both these players. Now, with Song in, second TC is on the way. So, Dumu... surely he's not... Is he just going to naked run up to Imperial now with 18 crossbows? Realistically, you can get away with that, right? There's nothing to particularly punish you here. What's the big value point in going imp in a rush, though, is what I'm wondering. I guess it's just the quality of the units, right? Just having better crossbows makes a lot of sense here. Making sure you're not a step behind into university techs is huge in these late game matchups. Love that he's securing the sacred sites in the meantime. This is another nice thing, right? Is like Core right now doesn't actually have an army, so you can just capture sacred sites for free because these Shaolin monks can actually defend themselves quite efficiently. All right, I think we have a fairly balanced state of the game right now. I always love to find points in the videos where we can do this. Ones, if you think Core is going to win this game now. Twos, if you believe in Benny Boy. Because I think this is very balanced right now. Like, you know, the relics aside, everything else. What's happening on the map, and the choices that have been given up along the way. 4 relics is strong, don't get me wrong, but Regnitz isn't there. So this is 4 relics true, it's not 8. On the other side, you've now got 3 TC Zhu Xi, which is going to escalate at a similar capacity to the HRE. But the difference is with the Song Dynasty, getting into this was cheap, and then getting into the farms afterwards is much cheaper for this Civ compared to the Holy Roman Empire. So Dumu has some pretty nice surge points. One thing that is scary is the hyper late game scenario. That's where we know Zhu Xi tends to suck a bit. The one play they used to have was the idea of the Imperial Guards, but I don't remember the last time I actually saw Imperial Guards in a Zhu Xi game. It's been a very long time. Crossbows should actually be able to mop up the last men-at-arms. So cool. Now looking for a full transition. It's going to be into Horsemen. Stables have been prepped on the backside. Also has got the melee techs coming through. Dumu. Actually scaling into Palace Guard is perfect for this, right? Like, that's a unit that can contest. The reason why he's building Palace Guard, even though he looks like he's macroing towards Imp here, is he had way too much food. The pacing didn't make sense. The gold gathering was kind of behind, but now he has the alternative issue here, right? Where he needs to spend more of the gold. So that's why you're now seeing the Nesta Bees coming through. Core desperately just trying to get a few more defenses together, right? Fortifications, he needs some cannon emplacements. Where do you build these cannon emplacements, actually? Okay, one on the backside, that makes a lot of sense, but you're going to need, what, 2 more? One over here would be perfect to secure the wood and the gold. I would even like to see one on the forward here, just to prevent the flood free points and secure additional gold veins. Hit the fast forward a little bit here. Because I think we're just going to get into kind of a slower phase of the game as they both prep their solutions. Right, Dumu is going to try to break through immediately. He needs to make sure he's got enough troops before he goes to the main fight. And that's going to buy time for Core to get the reaction into the hand cannoneers. This is kind of interesting and an awkward predicament now for Dumu. Going into mass Nesta Bees when you're up against these cannon emplacements with the relics fortified inside doesn't feel like the greatest move, especially when you remember this is not Clock Tower Nesta Bees. This is just standard Nesta Bees from the Zhu Xi. I'm a bit worried that Dumu's timing here is off. He's at least scaling eco behind this, but his really big priority now needs to be on getting to Imperial Age while preventing Core from getting additional resources. I don't think your goal here should be to try and dive the base and kill him. That's a little chop down here. Actually killing off the Horseman and spotting the transition. That's a huge deal right there. The amount of info that Dumu just got for free, well, not for free, but definitely favorable in trade, is important here because now Core's kind of entire play into Horseman is obvious. You have to remember that he never built Horseman in Feudal Age, and those were definitely vetted Horsemen that Dumu's fighting, right? So he'll be fully aware that this is going to be a mass Horseman spam coming down the line, but that's very expensive, and that means that if Core is achieving that, if he actually has the food income for that, he's built literally nothing else to support it. Timmy, meanwhile, continues to scale more Nesta Bees. One thing I think you have to now do if you're Dumu, if this is the approach you want to take, you need to get walls up. I love that he's got the keep drop here. That's going to give him a lot more stone. You could kind of rely on keeps, but realistically, 30 horsemen are just going to run by and shrug as they go, right? Like, you need some sort of walls, whether it's palisades or Stonewalls. Would love to see a Stonewall on this east side from Dumu, just to kind of block one big exposure point, and then he can kind of spread out on the west side to defend, right? It works a lot better. For now, those horsemen are going to be coming around the west side, though. I do feel a little bit worried for Dumu the longer he waits for this tech choice. He's got a hell of a lot of Nesta Bees, but realistically, like, Nesta Bees, A, get countered by Horsemen, B, yeah, that is what they are. C, the issue is mobility here, right? It comes back to that detail about walls, and it's why I like to see that Dumu is now trying to add those in. Timing might actually be perfect here, folks. The main Horseman wave has not come in yet. Small group going to wrap around the back, but Dumu, game sense on point. Already had a few pass guard in position to block that out. So this is very important. Core can now come down the center, but he can't come around the flanks. However, if Dumu doesn't posture correctly here on the forward, There is a breakthrough point. Cool. Cool. No, no, not like this. That's the bees. Shots coming out. And Core slowing the reaction there. Switches over to the village now, but heavy hit into the cavalry. And with no biology, they die so bloody fast. So not ideal there. Core just full on sending it onto a single outpost there, neglecting to check what the army was behind. This is typically why you see a lot of people adding in a scout and using the scout on the field like that. If he had that information, that foresight, he could have ran straight in with the horsemen, killed all the Nesta bees. Instead, Dumu gets a fantastic fight that resets Core's timings. He's not ready yet to insta-replace these horseman losses. He wasn't even ready to have biology alongside them, so this hampers him heavily. Here's another interesting detail about this matchup now. Dumu knows that it's a Burgrave spam, right? The later in this game it goes, typically the weaker Zhu Xi feels, but this is a rare situation where it doesn't hurt as much. And the reason is that the HRE's options are more heavily limited, right? Like 4 Relic Regnates, the world is their oyster. They can go Landsneck, they can go Hand Cannoneer, they can do what they want. Now, Core has to fight tooth and nail for these mid-map gold veins to have a chance of those premium golds. He can't pray to the gods that the Regnate's relics are going to deliver him enough, because he's basically missing half of what he's meant to have here at this stage in most HRE situations. Tech up now on the way from Dumu. So it's going to be the Temple of the Sun. I love Temple of the Sun. Honestly, I think if you're going for the library and you're not choosing a tech in the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, you've made a mistake. Go back, change history, right? Because realistically, with the economy at this stage in the game, it's very easy to get the tech up for the second time within 2 minutes of the first invade. So just a much better approach to get your hands on Temple of the Sun, and then you immediately have a buff for your army, even before you have the elite statuses. STBs. Flurries coming through. Horsemen are going to leak around the backside of this. STBs are going to be fine for it. Not going to go down. Culverin is trying to snipe them out, but not quick enough here. Men-at-Arms trying to dive in now into the crossbows. But this is just clustering up the lines a little, and the snipe comes in. Culverin goes down. Courtesy of those defenses, and it looks like now it's going to be a panic run through. Core just trying to bypass the front line here. STBs are going to hold though, and it looks like Dumu is not going to go down that easily. In fact, are you kidding me? He didn't lose a single one of them. Disgusting fight here from Dumu. Every single nest of bees lives. Core once again reset, and this was the best opportunity he was going to get, right? In the middle of the tech up. Now, Dumu can get much stronger. Pass guard upgrades are coming through. Nest of bees count is going up to 7. What? I mean, why not, right? Like, you're against a full kind of clump type army. The funny part is, like, typically this would be a bad idea against the horseman spam. I'm wondering if Dumu is doing this to keep his opponent off of men-at-arms spam, because men-at-arms would get disintegrated by this, right? What I'd love to see now, and yeah, we're seeing it, is if Dumu just spams out spears, this is the perfect comp against the HRE. STBs. Oh my god! Reminder, those have biology. Oh my god, the damage output on these units though. Core needs to start hitting the economy. He has at least capped all the sacred sites, but that's not very holdable here when you're up against this many Nest of Bees, and I actually can't believe it. We're going to see Grenadiers in this game. It's not bad against the Horseman mass, right? Like, when they try to gap close you, they're going to get punished and get frag out. I love that Core is trying to go back for the Inspired Warrior buff. I hope this is because he wants to get premium units out. It's risky, but like mass hand cannoneering might be the way to go here. Just get some Culverins, get some hand cannoneers, kind of make this fight a weird fully ranged comp. What else could he do here? Because Men-at-Arms to me feels like a no-no, right? Like into mass Nest of Bees, that's the quickest way to just die. Marching drills might be cute, might be nice, but at the end of the day, Cliffside does create these choke points which Nest of Bees can exploit. Even more so, the way that Dumu has built his base, even small details like the fort houses allows him to restrict the map. Backside raid is going to be a block. Nice keep drop from Dumu. Makes a lot of sense, right? Typically, for the Chinese, their comparison here is they have the gate, right? They've got the Great Wall up on the backside, which protects the farmland area. You don't have that option as usually, so you do have to invest in a castle instead. Very important they do. Much better approach here now from Core. Just using the bombards to gradually get rid of the buildings. These choke points are exactly what will kill you against mass Nest of Bees. But he needs to have an overwhelming force on his side, right? Like, you need a lot of melee to run in to even reach these Nest of Bees. These keep drops also just making it annoying for him to find any way through easy peasy. Looks like Core is getting into chemistry. Now, that does benefit the Bombards and the Culverins, but I still feel like this is a gradual play into hand cannoneers, right? For now, what he's trying to do is just constrict Dumu from coming out because he does have that Sacred Site timer ticking. It's not really defended, though, so if any stage Dumu feels like that pressure's mounting a bit too much, it's a very easy decap on the right side. Dumu doesn't have to worry about anything threatening there. Core only has to keep, like, what, a screen away? So no threat of getting sniped out there. There is a lot of stone in this area, though, and I'm wondering if Core would be better served by going for a keep drop and playing for the Sacred Site win condition. Bombards moving on the keep. Dive comes through. Nest of bees. That is so bad. 2 horsemen, and they basically missed their entire load. However, now they can turn for the main fight. Men-at-Arms stuck in the choke point. This is the problem we talked about. It's Dumu using his own base as a shield. The Nest of bees are going to dish out the punishment. Elite Army Tactics is not in for Core. His army's not going to last long here. He gets mopped up. And now, as a result of that dive, Dumu can easily get the decap on the Sacred Sites. Yeah, I don't like the way that this is being played at all. This is getting ugly for Core. I think he needed the hand cannoneer transition sooner. Men-at-Arms is doing nothing for you in this game. You'd think it would be good because you're up against Mass Palace Guard, but the issue you have here is, 1, you failed to get into Elite Army Tactics quickly. 2, your opponent has Mass Nest of Bees. And speaking of those Palace Guard, with the Divine Haste, they're actually looking for the chase down. Looks like they won't quite be able to get it. Core breaks away, but the catch-up is quick here. These Bombards, however, are incredibly tanky. Sadly, not tanky enough. One is going to go down. Second one should be safe. There's not enough Palace Guard left over, at least from the first wave, but the second wave might be another matter. Dumu now looking like he's in firm control of this game. It's like, I'll bloody well take that Bombard for the last thing I do. No, you're not going to get it, mate. So 1 Bomber stays up. Cool, that's very important considering the gold limitations on this map, right? Like, there's a lot of 4Ks in the center, and none of that's going to feel safe now, especially when you've got Dumu pushing in like this. And remember what I said about the Zhu Xi's library? Never far behind. It's now being queued up. Nest of Bees Flurry's coming in. Oh my god! So this is like the awkward part of what you're seeing from Core. The idea of adding in Landsneck wasn't a bad idea, right? Like, these fights are getting clumped. He wants to try and clean them up. The problem is, even if you had 10 Landsneck, 10's Landsneck would not last longer than 5 Nest of Bees. The 5 Nest of Bees would instantly kill the Lansk, and that's the big problem here for Core. For the time being, Dumu definitely starting to overextend a little, right? The melee line is gone. He hasn't moved his production forward, so he should be pushed back here by the next wave, but shaky ground that Core now finds himself on. Elite Army Tactics also on the way in, so something critical that has been missing for a while for Core. Doesn't get the Nest of Bees, though. They get away. Oh man, and the retreat into the choke point again. I think the problem for Core is he just keeps getting stuck in the meat grinder in this choke point now, right? Like, it's literally the worst place to be against Zhu Xi. And it's about to get worse, folks. You're seeing that correctly. The Cloud of Terror! Sorry, I tried to go for like an 80s comic book angle there. The Cloud of Terror tech is on the way. This is the one that gives an AoE to Bombards. So basically, he's upgrading from the Nest of Bees for anti-clump into Bombards for anti-clump. Quite a unique thing that the Zhu Xi have, the Chinese don't. And it's basically going to give him an ability to just blitz through these towers, these outpost cannons, which can be quite annoying when he's trying to dive this base. Speaking of cannons, freebie given over by Core. Elite Army Tactics is finally there. I can't believe how much longer it took him as well. It's unfortunate because that was the game breaker. Like, the funny thing about Elite Army Tactics in a game like this is it literally allowed the Palace Guard to beat the Men-at-Arms, right? Like, between the extra health and also the damage increases from the Ming, from the Elite Army Tactics tech itself, it's just made this MAA look trivial on the other side. Glad to see he finally has it, because it was definitely a big whoopsie to not have actually included it sooner. But you still have this Nest of Bees issue you need to resolve for. And now it's going to be mass Bombards as well. Oh my god, dude. Dumu is just loving life. You know, we usually say CGQ. I'm not sure. We haven't come up with one for Ben to this degree. Siege? Nah, it doesn't really hit. Oh my god. So what do you do now if you're Core? Like, realistically, the answer's simple, right? You just mass Culverins or you snipe. I think he has to take a slower approach to this, because every time we see him rush in, he's just dying for nothing, right? And It might not look expensive because, oh, HRE meat grinder, right? But it's the gold. The gold is the thing you always need to be conscious of here. The gold he can have access to is becoming more limited, right? At least what he has safe. He's got about 10k over here. Sorry, actually ignore that. He's got 14k. But that can dry up very fast to the build you're going for. And also his attempts to take the 4k over here are going to be denied. Dumu moves in with a keep drop. Oh man, that's actually a big deal. That means you can't go for a Sacred Site victory either. The other thing to be really conscious of in this game is that Core running out of money is realistically possible for him. Less so for this Zhu Xi, right? Their comp is expensive, but that's what the taxmen are for. And they can always go back and get their hands on extra things like the Mount Liu Academy to get even more taxmen, and also they can get advanced administration for 2 additional taxmen on top of that. Means they'll have plenty of gold in their pockets. These bombards are ridiculous. Is Core a good player? I think he's a decent player. He's a bad person. I mean, no one can pick HRE this many times in a row and be considered a good person. Oh my god, dude. He's just getting annihilated by bombards. This has to stop at some point. Core, I think he just needs to calm down, get 5 Culverins, stop rushing out with 1 Culverin at a time, because you're seeing what happens in these fights. Oh, look, a Culverin. Bombard's wheel in range and just snipe it out straight away. It's making it impossible for him to fight. The problem is now, with how long he's waited, I start to question whether Core even has enough time to get that many Culverins out. I also just don't like all the stone. The stone is worthless now with the bombard spam. This is sick, though. I'm impressed. Like, the Divine Defense. Okay, that is genius. I wondered why it was so easy for him, and now it makes sense. That's big golf clappers actually coming out. Also, the snipers now coming in horsemen, stacking on the wrong target here. Spearmen are going to cover this. Dude, this is just perfect. So, guys, remember, with the Temple of the Sun, there's a few options you can toggle between. Divine Haste is a big one, but in this game, the extra range from Divine Defense is pitch perfect. Puts him up to 11 tower range, means the Culverins only have a 1 tower range advantage. Very difficult to get in range and get out before you get sniped with that difference. And what's even worse still is you're seeing a notable difference here in health, right? Siege Works exists on one side. Greased Axles is in on both, but Bombards are quicker. So, like, this is incredibly difficult for Core to manage. Did we underrate Zhu Xi's late game potential? I mean, because this is looking pretty impressive. The Bombard snipes coming in. Keep in mind, if he ever finds villages, it becomes quite devastating. It's a little bit hard to tell how effective the Cloud of Terror, I'm going to stop, I'm sorry, is. But I can't remember what the exact numbers were. You're seeing the splash damage. It's not full from what I recall. It's lower. I would love for them to change the animation, because I think the animation's a bit disingenuous as to how wide the AoE is. Right? It looks like a giant puff. See? But like, they weren't close enough. It's like a typical cannonball emplacement with reduced damage on the secondary shot. Shots coming through. I can't believe how effective this is actually proving. He literally is just showing up to a game of Duck Hunt. Landstack's now getting in, but they just don't last long at all. I'll tell you what, Dumu might actually end up resigning from Team Liquid and getting side to FaZe Clan with the amount of shots he's getting off. This is ridiculous. Oh my god. It actually looks really good. Like, this is crazy right now. Cool. He finally has access to the bombard line. Is at least going to be able to snipe one of them out. It looks like Dumu may have a missed rally here. Yeah, I think he skipped production a little. He's down to 160. He didn't reboom straight away. So Dumu needs to set up more Spearman production, more Ford Raxes. That's his one mistake here. The bombard player is really smart, but the lack of defenses is problematic. A little bit of congestion going on. We'll be able to sneak out in the end, back in the choke point. This game is so scrambled. Oh, Core. Well played to recover that. Dumu definitely overextending, but now, like, you know how this usually works, right? Like, that type of mistake where he overextends happens once, and usually you see kind of a recalibration here, right? So we'll probably see a lot more Spearman Power Scar getting queued up. Dumu has got a problem, though. He needs wood, and he needs it ASAP. Cliffside has a lot of wood. The funny part is he actually hasn't played to the south side at all so far. So there's a very big gap in his macro game right now. Need more wood on the other side of the map. Core has been exploiting that safe wood quite a bit, so he might find himself in a risky scenario eventually. He's stockpiling quite a bit of wood, but if he needs to go back into siege himself and more horsemen, it dries up very quickly. The funny thing actually in this game right now for Dumu is that Palace Guard are more affordable than Spearmen, right? Because like the tax is forever. His wood is the problem, as we just highlighted. He's moving forward and basically just trying to take risky resources. I quite like this from Dumu. The logic is that he can always come back for the safe wood. He's now taking a weak point in the game to guarantee that if this turns into a resource exchange, right, where it's a drain on both sides, he has the edge. Ambitious keep by Dumu, though, and it's not going to work. He doesn't even cancel it. Wow, so that's just going to be 900 stone down the drain. Yeah, that felt neglectful. I think Dumu had a perfect moment there to cancel, but he just seemed to believe he'd be able to get back across in time to defend this. So definitely a misread there. But now that the army has arrived, this should be a good trade out. Now, if you're wondering why does Dumu want spears so badly over Palace Guard, it's not just the horseman details. The fact that if you do go Palace Guard, these men-at-arms are enabled, right? If you go Spearman, the men-at-arms are kind of worthless. But the other logic I think Dumu's realized here is that by going to Spearman, he doesn't have an effective HP pool in his front line, right? In terms of efficiency from a population standpoint, he doesn't have that in raw HP. Sure, you can argue if it's the right matchup that he's up against men-at-arms, then Spearman will do better. But if it's another way around, sure, you're going to kill horsemen faster, but that's never the goal of your front line here. Your front line is just meant to survive. The back line for Dumu is what wins. SWBs and bombard count is getting absurd in this game. I shouldn't love this strat. I really shouldn't. It's disgusting, but I've got to respect it. What a play out of Dumu. I think he's kind of just in the driving seat now, right? Like, Core is starting to lose critical infrastructure. Rebooms are going to get much harder for him. He's going mass men-at-arms now to try and actually get a pushback here. But running into 6 Nesta Bs, 6 AoE bombards with that many men-at-arms, surely it's not going to end well. I think Core's issue here is he needs to try and flank. He spent all this time... by the way, I love the fact that these emplacements have almost taken out the gate. Once this gate goes down, send a few horsemen around here. Just go around the backside, because I think the big issue that I'm seeing right now for Core, he's got stuck in a meat grinder. And if he can't escape from it, he's losing ground and he's losing time. Oh my god, the Nesta Bees! The villagers as a front line. Are you kidding me? You know, we might not be able to build this out of stone, but we can build this wall out of bodies. Good god. So Stonewall complete. That's going to shrink it and spread it wider. That's going to allow Dumu to move deeper into the production lines. He's already moved deep with a small vanguard force here, looking onto those farms. And Core very much is now in a sticky predicament here. Gold-wise, he's going to be fine, but I'm starting to feel like his meat is getting stressed a bit too far. His food income, even with it being up at 4K, the amount of troops that are getting massacred in these choke points doesn't really feel like you've got an economy big enough to keep affording that, right? Like, I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's the way he's trading. When you trade into an army like this, you lose so many units in 10 seconds. It's insane just how many die to the Nesta Bees. So, like, the reboom afterwards is basically keeping you down the dirt. And now with that raid hitting the backside, hitting the food, the farmlands as well, it's just extra food missing that Core needs. Ay, ay, ay. Raids hit a few of the farms. Yeah, if 1 or 2 farm clusters got shut down, there's some over here that are not working anymore. Just all inoperational. I think the problem now for Core, he's probably realizing it. For a long time in this game, he wasn't the one who required walls. It was actually Dumu, but Dumu has broken out now. We've reached the point where the lack of walls is now taking full control away from Core. Cobra count. So high. The divine range. Oh my god. Dude, once again, just big claps all around to Dumu for this detail. Divine Defense was 100% the right call. Divine Defense most of the time looks really bad. On anything you can think of but cannons, I would say it's kind of right? But remember, it also works for the Nesta Bees. They're gunpowder as well, so they go from 8 range to 9 tile range, which is insane in these engagements. Leads to clusters like that. Nesta Bees clearing up again. I think We have just reached a limbo state now. Core doesn't really realize just how dead he is. And the more he fights into this same area, the more he enables Dumu. Dumu, who's now down to 90 eco. He's losing some of that, but I also think he doesn't need it as much, right? This is just an ability to get more military. I do not know why the hell he's queuing up Grenadiers of all things, but we'll allow it. I guess it's just more anti-clump, right? Like, he's seeing that Core is relentlessly spamming melee, so it means Grenadiers actually work. And guys, we've got Dynastic Protectors on the way. This has to be a Yuan Raider play. I don't think this is going to be about Imperial Guards. His eco is now too small to afford Imperial Guards, but Yuan Raiders would be sick to shut down the economy. I think Dumu has just had enough of this back and forth meat grinder. He's winning it, but why win it the hard way when you can win it the easy way, right? Just turn the tap off. Stop the meat patty farm from producing. God, that's a lot of gold workers going down. Dumu doesn't even care about them. He's now down to 80 economy. Yeah, he still doesn't look weak for it, right? This is wild. He's going to back off now. I imagine he's looking to reboom villages. Yep, he is turning the valves on the villager spam. Trying to get that number back up. He tapped a lot of gold in the center. And remember, we said he could actually get additional gold workers if he wants with the taxmen. It's going to be biology. Now, I don't think it can be Imperial Guards. There's no way in hell you can afford Imperial Guards here, right? No, it has to be on Yuan Raiders. Wait, what? He's actually going for it. Okay, I thought Yuan Raiders because they're so cheap on the gold and that can shut your opponent down, but Imperial Guards are insanely expensive for a guy who has 500 gold income a minute. I guess it makes for a very efficient front line, though. That's the upside. Dumu, castle's gone down. Bombards trying to sneak in. Oh, the culverins! He's chasing it. And he's going to find it. Another cove goes down. His bombards do survive, so he'll be able to pull these back and get them repaired. Nestabee's trying to protect against this. Hand cannoneers diving in. Horseman actually targeting the low HP unit. Means they're not going to get additional kills here. Okay, this game is just getting wild right now. Core is gaining a lot of ground, but that's because Dumu is making a transition. He's making what I would call a very weird transition. I'm not sure what the thought process is with this exactly. Imperial Guards, like, you just have to hit the economy, right? It can't be about the main fight. He's got to send him there to hold, but afterwards, surely your goal is to rush into the farms of Core. Imperial Guards show up. Remember, these guys have an insane 400 HP. Ming Dynasty guaranteeing that they pack quite the punch as well, hitting as hard as pretty much any knight you can get your hands on. Dumu now is going to peel off. This is where you need to go sniping, right? Go around on the flank. You know he's been gathering gold on the left side. If you want to stop this, you need to find the gold source. This is still quite a sticky predicament though, right? Core is sitting on 3k gold in reserve. I feel like this move from Dumu came a little bit too late. Just have to rely on the main fights. I mean, I'm still shocked that he even changed script, right? Like, I would have understood this change in plan 10 minutes ago when there was still a lot of gold to work with, but now you've waited to raid this deep in. The Core only has a 3k left over here. Now, maybe that makes it a better timing because Core has less premium units to react with, but if you're building Cav, Spearman will do. Yeah, what I feel like Dumu was going for was that classic, oh, you haven't built spears the entire game, they won't be upgraded moment, right? He was trying to catch Core with his trousers down. Core now trying to return the favor, dives into the base. This is starting to look a bit shaky for Dumu, and I'm still baffled, man. Now he's going Yuan Raiders as well. It's crazy because I think if he just stuck with the cannon strategy, this was a win, right? Like, I felt like he was just winning those fights. But Dumu, getting sick and tired or something, chose to switch it up. Now, his Raiders are at least going to protect the backline eco. The farms are in a bit of trouble. Palace Guard are going to react to that now. Core's Vanguard force is going to get cleared up. On the other side, however, Dumu is still raiding the farms. And Core is now in trouble. He's basically out of food. All of his farms are going idle, bar the ones underneath the Ark and Chapel. So half of his food income is about to disappear. This is what I was waiting for. The Yuan Raiders are the bigger detail here. 2 movement speed unit that hits villagers for 26 damage per strike. This is it. This is what was missing for him. And think about what's happened, right? Like, sure, you're leaving yourself weaker on defenses because of this, because you're investing population to the offense. Dumu doesn't have that normal issue because he's not at pop cap. He's in a game where Core still has a big economy, so these Yuan Raiders get more bang for buck. Back wave is at least going to get cleared up. Core still trying to dive into the main. However, the main army is gone. Walls are going to be going up, so Core is trying to condense this into the center now. That makes a lot of sense against cavalry. What scares me, however, is this is quite a lot of Imperial Guards. And they've even got the heal out of combat going on. Okay, I actually love how much Dumu is using the Temple of the Sun. This is like a stress test of everything in it. The only thing he's missing right now is Divine Charge. Divine Charge is insane if you can scale Imperial Guard at this stage in the game, by the way. The Divine Charge giving a 20% damage increase when you already have a 15% damage increase from Ming. Means that you can actually even give a bollocking out to Spearman. So keep an eye out for that. I'm expecting it to come here. Already has the biology, right? So has the extra health there. And Yuan, also another unit that will benefit from that extra damage from Divine Charge, right? Like 20% more damage means you're guaranteed always going to, what, free hit the villagers even when they have the melee armor upgrades. That's moving in. More farms getting hit up here. Dive on the front side though. It looks like Core is moving in with the main army again. And Dumu, well, he's just sending in the Imperial Guards here. But if the guards are going in, who's defending? What? I mean, there's no freaking way, right? Like, am I imagining it, or was Core dead to rights with that previous comp? I feel like Core was going to drain dry because of the Bombard Nesta Beast comp. But now, with this switch into cavalry, Dumu has given Core an opening, a way of breaking into the base. And he's already starting. Meditation Garden's down. TC next on the chopping block. Yuan Raiders going to try to flank around, but unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be quick enough. I say that. 27 damage per strikes, not bad, especially considering that Core still does not have siege works. 2 bombards left over, 2 taken out. Backside of this, Eco still being hit up, but not hit enough. I think that this is done, folks. I can't believe this. I mean, this game, Dumu looked like he was firmly in the driving seat. It looked like he could do no wrong, but that switch over, that tech choice, that switch into cavalry forfeited the entire game, and I'm still perplexed by the choice to do this. I mean, Dumu, I guess he didn't realize the state of the game, right? Like, you know, he probably felt like Core still had a lot more gold behind him that he could keep doing this for another hour, and Dumu had no interest in it. But to me, what I saw was a guy with a winning comp. Nesta Bees and Bombards were just breaking face there, and Core was struggling to find a way of recovering against it. But now with this switch, you gave him the answers. This is going to be a win, a dub for the German lad, the man who only knows the HRE will only know victory.